Welcome to the PBIS Center Technical Assistance Practice Briefs. These briefs have been designed to promote implementers of school-wide positive behavior support practices with a 3 to 5 minute overview of common school-wide PBS strategies. Supporting materials can be found at the Practice Briefs homepage. This technical brief is about active supervision. In this brief video, you will learn more about the definition and elements of active supervision. We will also tell you how to implement active supervision and how to know if your implementation is working. First, let's briefly describe the definition and elements of active supervision. Active supervision is defined as the general set of strategies used to promote pro-social behavior in non-classroom settings. Non-classroom settings are places where instruction is not available to engage students and facilitate classroom management. Examples of non-classroom settings include the school bus, the hallway, the cafeteria, the parking lot, school sporting events, and the playground. The defining elements or components of active supervision include directly teaching expected behaviors and routines for each specific non-classroom setting. Pre-correct, remind, and prompt expected behaviors and routines before and as entering each non-classroom setting. Actively supervise by continuously moving, scanning the area, and interacting with as many different students as possible when in the non-classroom setting. Finally, provide specific acknowledgments and contextually appropriate positive reinforcement for displays of expected behaviors and routines. Now that we understand the defining elements of active supervision, let's briefly describe how to implement active supervision and how to know if your implementation is working. To put active supervision into practice, it is important to provide supports for students. The leadership team should identify typical settings in their school where it is important for students to know and practice what is expected in those settings. Then the leadership team should develop a teaching matrix for teaching expected behaviors and routines for each non-classroom setting. This teaching matrix should have two main elements. First, 3 to 5 school-wide expectations, and 2 to 3 specific positive examples of what the expected behavior looks like for each expectation in that setting. At minimum, the teaching matrix should be taught at the beginning of the school year and reviewed frequently after holiday breaks, at the beginning of new grading periods, or whenever a more appropriate non-classroom expected behavior needs a boost. Staff that are effectively implementing active supervision practices are prompting, reminding, reinforcing, and interacting with students, as well as scanning and moving about the non-classroom settings. It is important to provide supports for staff as well. The leadership team should develop a plan before presenting active supervision practices to staff. Remember that staff need to practice active strategies and receive regular feedback if they are to develop natural fluency with their use. And then the leadership team should develop and present a schedule for implementation of active supervision. Like students, active supervision is more likely to be implemented if specific times and places are highlighted. Finally, the leadership team should prompt, promote, and reinforce staff's implementation of active supervision. Once active supervision is implemented, it's important to monitor and assess implementation integrity. Develop and implement a schedule for regular assessment of implementation integrity. Remember that implementation integrity refers to the extent to which staff are accurate, fluent, and consistent with their use of the active supervision strategies. To monitor implementation integrity, use active supervision self-assessment like this one, available for download on the website. Use data to provide regular performance feedback and to modify active supervision practices to improve student outcomes. Using data leads us to our last point, how to assess and track outcomes to know if your implementation is working. Start by developing a measure of problem behavior in non-classroom settings. Then use data to modify active supervision implementation to improve outcomes. If indicated, make adjustments to your implementation as necessary. In summary, the purpose of this video is to provide a brief overview of active supervision, a strategy for use in non-classroom settings. Active supervision is about teaching expected behaviors in context-specific routines and then reminding or prompting students of these expectations prior to entering non-classroom settings. Implementers should actively and positively scan, move, and interact with students, as well as acknowledge students who display contextually appropriate behaviors. We conclude by emphasizing the importance of monitoring how accurately we implement active supervision and what kind of student outcomes we observe. For more specific information, we encourage you to visit the website and refer to the supporting research. Thank you for viewing this brief video.